Godfather. Pulled up to the scene in a 65 Bentley, dripped in Brioni, China doll with me, looking like a supermodel. Oh, what a feeling. 25 years old, 25 million. Today's the audition for the Godfather part. My life's already a movie, so when do I start? I walk up in Patsy's, East 119th Street. Fat Tony Salerno gets a kiss on the cheek. I know my way around, not my first time here. Been doing overnight Ziganet loans for 10 years. I say hello to Danny Pagano and Tough Tony. Nicky Domino gives me a nod, they all know me. They ask why I'm there so early, I say the part. They say what part? I say the movie, why not? I don't look like Carlo, they all begin laughing. 3 p.m. ready for the lights, cameras, action. Gianni getting the zone.
My name is Gianni Russo, a.k.a. Carlo, the infamous son-in-law from The Godfather. I'm now known as the Hollywood Godfather, and this is my story.
Before all of the wins in my portfolio, I was a little boy diagnosed with polio. Experimenting with cures, I tried every one. Felt everything in my right, but my left was numb. Walking with a limp, like will I ever run? Once again, or is this it? Am I forever done? Living in the hospital was never fun. Some people were cool, but not everyone. You never know who you're lying in a room with. So I broke a broomstick in half and let it groove with the concrete in the bathroom floor. It had a new tip, stashed it behind the toilet in case I ever had to use it. Cause one day Dolores had a chat with me. Said she got word someone was coming after me. My heart started beating rapidly. I looked in front of me and back of me. Who thinks they're whacking
Welcome,
me?
everybody. It's time for another adventure.
Oh my God, an adventure.
Hollywood Godfather podcast. And I want to introduce our compadre lady friend, fortunately, and co-anchor, Jeannie. Nice seeing you again, my darling.
It's very nice seeing both of you. I'm glad to be here as usual.
And my partner in crime, co-writer and good friend, Pat Piccarelli.
Good evening, everyone.
There he goes with Boris Karloff again.
That's right.
If you're good, I'll do Boris Karloff speaking Italian at the end of the show.
Okay, please.
You got to be good.
So, would you let us know what this show is about, please?
Well, Jeannie, you want to let us know what the show is about?
Well, I had asked for, I know Gianni's as bad as me when it comes to hoarding pictures from your past. And I have totes and totes full of them. And I know, Gianni, as part of your book and part of all of these shows, you have shown us pictures of you and everyone. So I wanted to see pictures that kind of cataloged your life. And I'm really excited to see some of these of you when you were younger and talk about your journey. So we're going to see it in color. Well, maybe some black and white, but some color as well.
Okay, so the way we're going to do this is taking it in chronological order. And the first picture will be of you, Gianni. I tell you, when you first showed this to me a few weeks ago, it's rather shocking. I mean, you're a 7-year-old boy, and you're in a full body brace. In this picture that we're looking at now, we can see you basically from your waist up. But as we discussed when we were off air, that brace goes all the way down to your feet.
Yes.
And when we finished off the conversation, you were in this thing for 6 solid months, correct?
I was in for 6 months, and you can imagine the shock you two of looking at it. I saw it for the first time about 2 years ago when we were putting this together for the book and our show based on the book, because I never saw the picture, and it was, they never asked for anybody's permission or rights of my likeness, and it popped up. Thank God for Michael Austin, our research guy. And with that said, I was in shock and in tears because I never saw the movie. Never saw the picture, only to find out that I was the poster boy for Franklin Delano Roosevelt for the March of Dimes. Now, for our audience who's too young, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and these are facts I don't think both of you even know, because, my relationship with Frank Costello, which I'm doing a documentary for Fox right now based on this, and Pat and I are doing a third book, The Son He Never Had. The parallels of my life with Costello is spooky because he, in 1932, was in Chicago and very influential financially and with the Democratic Party to get Franklin Delano Roosevelt nominated for president. Did anybody know that?
Well, I know it now because we discussed this yesterday. But basically, like any politician, they need backing, and they need power. And I would imagine Frank Costello supplied both.
All of it. And the good news, what I didn't know also until we did this research, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the only president to serve 4 consecutive terms.
But they didn't have term limits back then.
Right. And the thing, why they gave him, because he was so powerful. And the other coincidence is, and I didn't realize the compassion that Costello had for me, he had polio and he was in a wheelchair. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, all through his presidency, they hit it well.
You see, that's obviously that was way before the internet. And what you're saying is correct. A lot of people didn't know that he couldn't walk without the aid of leg braces. So most of his time was spent in a wheelchair.
Right. Or behind the desk at the White House and making those congressional speeches behind the podiums. And and again, I don't want to shock our audience, but I mean, I want to wake them up, because what Pat and I are doing now, finding the threads that tied, because I always wondered myself, why does Costello like me so much? He had
perhaps it's your sparkling personality.
No. I was just 18 on the street.
All right.
I'm talking about, he had an empathy for people who had afflictions like I had. So when he was coming to me early on, knowing I had polio and giving my money every day and not taking any pens or anything I was selling, it was because of this relationship since the 30s, which I find amusing. And to me, for our audience, when you see this picture, for me to be the poster boy for Franklin Delano Roosevelt for the March of Dimes, that we collected all the money for Jonas Salt's experiment for the salt vaccine that cured all of us throughout the world of having polio ever again.
So what you're saying is FDR. Well, I think I knew this from school, elementary school. He initiated the March of Dimes program.
Him and Eddie Cantor. Yep.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Eddie Cantor was, he started out in vaudeville. He was a song and dance man, and went to the movies.
Big TV personality.
Yeah, big TV personality. His career spanned 60, 70 years. He was everywhere. But that's interesting. So what we're looking at here, this picture picture of you in that brace. Were you ambulatory in that brace? Were you able to walk around?
No way. No, I was an ambulatory, period, because my whole left side of my body had no life to it at all. It was numb.
For those of you who didn't read the book, the first book, when I was doing it, Gianni would, but my first question was, well, when you got to the ward, the polio ward in Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan, how did you get around? And he looked at me like I had 2 heads. He's the only way I could. I dragged myself on the floor, which is what you did.
Oh yeah. Once I had some strength. Fortunately, I was only paralyzed on the left side. So my right side, I had my strength. And then they would refuse to give me even bedpans because they tried to encourage you to get out of bed, because so many kids have given up. They just stopped eating even. They starved themselves to death. Because when we talk about a 20-bed ward in 1949, we're not talking about hotel room hospitals now that have television and radios and nurse stations. We were in a quarantine ward, 20 kids in a room. We saw people maybe 3 or 4 times a day, or people coming in with gloves and masks on that didn't even want to touch us. And so, it's I love the fact that I prevailed. I'm here. And that's driven me to 81 years of my energy. People say, why do you have so much energy? Well, I remember when I didn't have it. I appreciate my mobility in my life.
Do you recall? I mean, this is maybe a stupid question. It was so long ago. Do you recall what your reaction was? I mean, you're a kid, you're a child. When they put you in this brace, what your reaction was? I mean, you're like a prisoner in that thing.
I didn't know anything at the time. I was so upset. I was confused more than anything. I was already an altar boy. I went to church every day with my grandmother. I know I didn't do anything wrong. And I would lay in bed every day saying, God, why are you doing this to me? Then they come and put this brace on me, and I'm saying, what's going on?
If you had the brace on for 6 months, what was the reason for them taking it off?
Well, I started getting my strength, and they wanted to build. See, fortunately, they didn't know what was wrong with me. It was like, a lot of this now I reflect on when we all been introduced to COVID. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know just by putting a patient on his stomach would save his life. When you were laying on your back with COVID, you were filling with these fluids that killed you. Then some smart nurse rolled the guy on his side. His vitals came back. It was one of those things. Nobody knew what they were dealing with.
So for a while there, you were also exercising with a bicycle tire.
That was when they took the brace off.
It was an inner tube.
When they took the braces off, they brought me bicycle tubes. And all I did was not exercise with them. I'd hold them out as long as I could. And they said, your elasticity muscles are destroyed. Fortunately, it's not my lungs. Fortunately, it was something I could rebuild, which I did. Obviously, here I am yet. But a lot of kids didn't have that opportunity. They were really iron lung people and people who they're just deformed, period. And
Gianni, will you tell me, I've heard of the iron lung my whole life, and I saw a picture of one, but will you tell me what that did?
The iron lung was because your respiratory system, that muscle that contracts your heart and your lungs to breathe, you didn't have. So they created that in the iron lung by creating oxygen and then letting it out. It was like an expanding and your lungs. So it started to get a motivation. And then after a period of time, those muscles rebuilt. That's what the iron lung was.
So those kids that were in an iron lung were in it 24/7?
24/7. Only their head was exposed.
I don't know. How the hell? That's torture. I mean, you can't roll over. You can't sit up.
Can't do nothing. But
I'm ever in something like that, come and shoot me. Somebody come smother me.
Well, no, it's so smart that you're saying that, because even myself, I laid there a couple of times. And I said, what am I doing this for? And thank God for Dolores Barone. For the people who didn't read our book, Dolores Barone was a floor nurse that was asked to look in on me. She was from the neighborhood. And she used to give me that extra Jell-O or that extra pudding at the end of the day. But the most important thing she did, unbeknownst to her in the world, she gave me that hug that I needed every night. Because nobody, I could cry now about it. But you're talking about, you don't know, because when they took a kid out for therapy, he never came back sometimes. So that bed was scrubbed for 24 hours. They desanitized it. And the guy went to heaven. And I'm saying to myself, I've been praying to go into heaven forever. I don't want to go yet. But that's how crazy it was. But here I am. Fortunately, I'll be celebrating 81 years, December 12th.
Gianni,
that heart-rendering story. Let's celebrate the second picture, shall we?
No, let me see. I want to hear what
I was just going to say, I look at my little granddaughter who is 6 years old and so full of life. And gosh, it makes me almost cry to think of someone taking her away and putting her in a hospital where she never sees her family again. I can't imagine. You are such a testament to just making the most of your life, because I can imagine it just wrecked people, and just to be without your family, torn away and stuck in a sterile hospital where nothing ever comes back for years and years and years. You never see your parents. It's just it's heartbreaking. You tell your story, and I'm sitting here getting teared up, thinking, "My goodness,
No, and
it's
the thing is that, you know, the good news is people always ask me, why do you have the attitude? Like Pat always says to me, you're always high, you're always happy, you're always this. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I could have perished in 1949, 50, 51 and
and the
gave
thing is,
up.
you know, kids. I mean, it's all about their parents. It's all about being.
right.
Your parents make you safe. Your parents make you happy. You got to probably go to your parents. From the day you went into that hospital, once again, for those of you who didn't read the book, 5 years without seeing anybody. I mean, that's got to be on a kid's underdeveloped mind. When your parents are gone, your life is gone.
Right. Your brothers, how many brothers and sisters do you have, Gianni?
At that time, I had 2 sisters. Then
Okay.
I had another one. But, you know, it wasn't even that. What I have to say, I thank Dolores Barone, but my faith in God and my religion is still today.
Right.
That's my whole life. I believe in it. I really believe in it. And that's what
true.
I've survived for. I've been shot, stabbed, run over. I mean, I'm around now.
You're
I
yeah,
think
with
I'm
9 lives.
invincible. I think I'm invincible now.
Don't say that.
Right. But we're glad you've made it through all these crazy
Well, thank you.
days.
Thank
But you're incredible.
No.
All right, let's go on to a cheerier note. The second picture that I'm looking at here is a shot of you and Sinatra facing the camera. Tell us what the background of that is.
That was at Dutch Reagan, who was Ronald Reagan.
Hmm.
They were doing an NBC special for the President of the United States' birthday in the back lot of NBC. And my relationship with Sinatra is, you got to come to this. I said, okay. And there I was that night with every dignitary in the world. I was a bum. What am I doing over there?
What year was that, Gianni?
Whenever Reagan was in office, it was a while ago.
Well, he was in the 80 to 88. So somewhere in there.
And somewhere in there, they did a big special. Sinatra hosted it, and everybody that was anybody was there. And I was the only unknown, but I was there. Well, I did The Godfather already by that, but you know, Jimmy Carr and Pacino wasn't there. I was there.
All right. Okay. We'll go to the next one if my mouse works here, and it does. Okay, so a picture of it's a split screen. Sinatra's on top. It looks like from his Paramount Theater days. I mean, he was very young there.
Oh yeah, it was a Paramount Theater.
And there's you on stage. This is part of your cabaret act.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's when I paid tribute to him, because Carlo Gambino's niece gave me a transistor radio at almost the same time we're talking about, December 12th, 1949. I turned 7. I turned on the radio, and I found out that Sinatra and I shared the same birthday. And then he became my mentor, because they told me all about his hard times. His mother was a barmaid. His father worked hard shipyard. He came from Hoboken, humble beginnings. And now he's doing 6 shows a night at the New York Paramount. And I said, well, I could do this. And he encouraged me to move on.
So talk a little bit about your this cabaret act that you have. You know, I realize it's based on the book, but how did you organize it? What do you do? I mean, it's 90 minutes long, correct? 80
exactly, what the casinos wanted. The casinos wanted an 80 minutes so to get the players back in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Fortunately for Tom Cantone and Mohegan Sun and all the
so it's what do you do? Talk, sing, answer questions. What do you do then?
I take you chronologically through my life with music, songs, my experiences, and there's everybody in it. I mean, Elvis is in it, Sammy Davis, Dean Martin. My life is a dream. I mean, so many people read our book, thank you. But the people that didn't, my life is insane when you think about what I achieved just by wandering through the streets.
Yeah, it's amazing. This particular picture, this looks like Sinatra when he was first starting out.
And I'll tell you when that picture was taken. It was at Paramount Theater in 1949, the day of my birthday. It was his birthday also.
And this guy is doing 6 shows a day.
A day at the New York Palmer. They couldn't get the Bobby Soxers out of this theater.
I know. Well, he was extremely popular. I don't know if people can relate, but he was like the rock star of that time.
Oh my God, he was definitely.
But 6 shows. I mean, the guy had boundless energy. I mean,
started at 12 o'clock. Well, the shows are only like a half hour, 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then they clear it out and you do the same show. But it was still 6 shows, and they were making tons of money with him. That's when he left Tommy Dorsey and went on his own.
All right. I am looking at a picture of you on the side of a building.
Again, that's because of that show. I pulled into Mohegan Sun up in Niagara Falls View, and I see myself 12 stories of me leaning on.
Yeah, I was just counting.
It's 12 stories.
So this is Mohegan Sun.
That's Niagara Falls View. That's owned by Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
But the funniest thing, I was saying to myself, why didn't they give me the money for that sign? If I'd made more money.
Gee, look at that. All right. This is the first time I'm seeing these pictures. So this is one of the stops in your cabaret act.
Yes. And thank God that they've been so good to me.
How many venues have you done so far with this act?
180.
But who's counting, right?
Right.
Gianni, you're like a rock star.
I'm still on the road. I got so many. I'm going. In fact, this show, if you're in St. Charles, Illinois, on October 15th, I'm doing 2 shows there. I'm in Portland. I can't believe I'm back in Portland, Maine on November 10th. I'm sold out already, 400 people, and they're doing another show, adding another show.
Good for you.
No,
Gianni, what's the closest you're getting to me?
Well, make a phone call. No, I'm kidding.
No, what's the closest to Utah
probably
you're getting? You're nowhere close.
Probably Philly or somewhere like that. I'm coming, believe me. I mean, the casinos have to bring me in because I do make a few dollars doing this. So
this is Utah. There's no casinos here.
Yeah.
There is some. I did have a friend go to a bingo party yesterday, but that's about as racy as it gets here.
No, I get more than the jackpot, believe me.
Oh, I'll bet.
All right. Okay. This is you. Oh, are you in this picture? Yeah, you are. You're in the corner. This is with you with Gladys Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Warwick, Joan Collins, Stevie Wonder, and Elizabeth Taylor. These are just people that happen to drop by your place, or what? No,
this is at the Grammys. It was one of 6 Grammys I won for music. People don't know that.
What year was this?
That was for That's What Friends Are For. Major record.
Did you give us some kind of a time frame here?
Oh yeah. Well, it was for Amfair for Elizabeth Taylor. We were raising money for AIDS. And Quincy Jones and I talk about it all the time. We gave all that money to them. We got nothing. Yeah. And we look at the stars that are on it. And it was called That's What Friends Are For. But I won other Grammys with, I did one with the Bee Gees and Dionne Warwick. I managed Dionne for 15 years and crossed her over like so many stars needed to do. So I put her with the Bee Gees. I put her with Kashif. I put her with so many different guys and women. And I produced them, Patti LaBelle, Gladys, and Dionne in theaters around. And so, I mean, I got 1 Oscar for music. Stevie Wonder and I did the Lady in Red, which Dionne sang, and got an Oscar for that for the soundtrack of Lady in Red.
You know, I'm fascinated. You know, when I was writing this book, we had just met, really. I mean, this is a while ago. And I just asked a logical question. How did you get into talent managing? The answer was, I was astounded. You knew nothing about the business.
Nothing.
You didn't know where to begin. And you just picked up the phone and you called her and you said, I want to be a manager. And she went for it.
No. It was different than that. We did, the way it really happened was, this is funny because Bert Sugarman has a show called Celebrity Sweepstakes, a big show years ago. And he had 3 celebrities as the panel. And this particular show was George Hamilton, Dionne Warwick, and me. In fact, George Hamilton and I were darker than her.
Yeah, he's a perennially tan.
So I said to her, because most people don't know, they do a game show in one day. You wear 5 different changes of clothes. They do 3 shows. Then you take a lunch break. They do it on a Sunday. They pay you a flat fee for $7,500. But it's great exposure if you're selling albums or doing whatever. So I happened to say to Dionne, I said, Dionne, what happened to you? You had such a great career, because I'm blunt.
You really know how to flatter somebody, you know?
She smacked me right in the face. I said, what's that about? She said, what are you talking about? What happened to me? I said, well, I remember in the back seats of my car, it was you and Johnny Mathis. I mean, you're probably responsible for some kids I had. And she even got more.
Yeah.
I said, what are you doing? She said, well, I'm between management. I said, I can manage you and make you a big star again.
That's how you never met anybody in your life.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. But I made phone calls.
One of my favorite things about you is you have the just the guts to do anything that pops into your head.
Why not?
I love it from someone that gets to be somewhat of a coward from time to time. If I'm good and mad, I can do a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that I'm like, oh, there's no way I could do that. And you just like, all right, I can do this. And you make a success of everything you touch.
Oh, no, I'm not a success of everything I've touched, but it seems like it. But no, but the thing is that I'm not afraid for people to say no to me. What can I do? I make a phone call.
Well, you turned her career around. I mean, that's a good.
Yeah, I think for a long time, actually. You know, it's a crazy thing. And then, you know, I was influenced by a girl. I will never forget it. We were at Westboro Music Fair. We gave our 3 backup singers their 2 weeks off that we had to do. And we brought in this girl. And I knew her mother, Sissy. Sissy was the lead singer for the Blossoms, Sissy Houston. And she had a daughter called Whitney. And I heard Whitney vocalizing in the Westboro Music Fair, in the back, vocalizing 5-octave range. So I called Clive Davis, who's the head of Arista Records, because he did a favor for some friends of mine. So I called Clive. I said, you got to come listen to this girl. You're coming anyway. Get here early. He couldn't believe it. Her name was Whitney Houston.
And she had to be probably 15, maybe?
No, she was 17,
okay,
singing in the gospel in Orange, New Jersey. Never had a record. He took her out. The mistake they made, and I keep saying it, and I'll say it on the air again, and you know, and as we all know, when they did Bodyguard, and she had that relationship with the actor, what's his name? He's a big actor.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. The label said you became too white. And they made her, to save her career, marry Bobby Brown. Do you believe this?
Well, and it also killed her.
And he became a drug dealer. Hello, and I'll say, yeah, let him come after me. And I knew her father, John Houston, for a long time.
I tell you, you know, you should write a book.
We are writing 4.
Okay. You just had to remind me. I'm getting old. You know, the brain is going. All right. Next picture is you with a guy that is probably your biggest fan. That would be the Pope.
Yep. John.
Which Pope is this?
This is John Paul II.
I knew that. I just wanted to see if you knew it.
No, you know why I knew it? You wrote about this in our first book.
Yeah.
Nick Nitty and I were couriers, bona fide couriers, moving money. We moved $600 million through the Vatican out of Vegas. And he became Pope because there was a Pope just before him for 30 days that didn't go along with the program. And the program by Bishop Malsinkas was the head fiduciary. And this is what we did. And
I recall when that Pope died.
With a cup of tea at night.
came out of nowhere. They said, well, the Pope's going to bed. He's got a slight cold. And he died that night.
Did you know this, Jeannie? You're looking in amazement.
Well, I remember the quick switch, but
Well,
you know what's so funny?
That the Pope died in his sleep without any real. No one really.
Wow.
But it's, and I shouldn't say funny. We were there for the inauguration. I mean, first, we were there for the funeral. Then they had the inauguration of this being elected. So we left, we came back. We went to that inauguration. And then that funeral the week later. And then Pope John Paul, who I fell in love with immediately. This guy was like, when you saw this man, he was miraculous. There was a thing about him. And we really hit it off. I mean, I used to see him once a month. We'd have dinner. I'm having dinner with the Pope. He'd show up with a trench coat, a fedora. Nobody even knew who was the Pope.
He was the skiing Pope. He used to ski.
You know, he did everything. This guy, I mean, and now with my grandchildren who live in Polio, they go to a school that I just had the name changed to St. John Paul. He's a saint now. And my little grandkids say, Papa, you're the only guy I know who knew a saint. I knew a saint. How nuts that is to say that.
Unbelievable. All right. It's going to be very hard to top that. So let's go to a commercial first.
All right, please. We're going to go to a commercial. And I did a commercial earlier. I really want people who are in the St. Charles area, come out to my show on October 15th. It's going to be about this book, everything we're talking about. You'll see these pictures and more. Come out there, St. Charles. The place is called the Moonlight Theater.
Where is St. Charles located?
In Illinois on a Sunday.
All right.
We already increased the second show. I'm doing one at 4 o'clock on a Sunday and 7 o'clock. I really want you to come out. That's the commercial for this show.
I'll be back.
Yes, we're back.
Okay. So anyway, how did you get in this picture with the Pope?
I was traveling.
What I'm thinking is the Pope probably made a lot of phone calls. He said, I want to get a picture with Gianni Russo.
No.
It was the other way around.
It's funny. Lou Wasserman, this story even gets worse now. I mean, you can't believe what I'm about to tell you. Lou Wasserman, he was coming to America. Lou Wasserman, if people don't know, was the head of MCA and Universal Studios at the time. He was the president during the whole Ronald Reagan stuff. Lou Wasserman was a powerhouse. He had a dinner at Universal Studios for the Pope. And the Pope asked me to be part of his attaché while he was in the United States. So I went to a couple of states with him, had fun. This is a classic. So to meet the Pope, it was an extra $10,000 donated to the Catholic Church, and you can have a private audience before the regular big thing they were having for them. So I'm back to, where they had all this stuff. And Sinatra comes in. He's trying to, what are you doing here? I said, we're with the Pope. Did you pay $10,000? I said, no, let's not even get into it. So, because I didn't want to tell him. So now, I mean, you're talking about the la creme de la creme of Beverly Hills. Everybody's at this party. So now they come with the Pope's, his guy with the little the xylophone, ding dong. Everybody, please leave. His Eminence needs 10 or 15 minutes. Please go to your seats. So Frank grabs me. He says, come, we'll go out and have a drink. I said, I can't right now. What's that about? All right, somebody's playing music in my background. Anyway, so I said, I got to stay here a minute. So now everybody goes. And they're all sitting outside. And they're waiting for us. And I meet them. And now they're going to call the dais. And they gave me a title. I became the Count of Adona from Adona, Sicily, from my family. Just a title. I never use it, never will.
Oh, I'm going to start calling you Count from here on in.
And I'll start counting. One.
Okay, there you go. I mean, you got it somewhere. Someone's going to, my son Alex came by today. He said, hey, who's in the picture with Gianni Russo? I mean, that's how famous you are.
Where is that music coming from? Do you hear it?
I don't hear any music.
Good. Okay.
Let me tell you something. This is scary now. You hear music. Jeannie doesn't hear music. I don't hear music. You're talking about John Paul. I think he's trying to send you a message.
Okay. So anyway, this is funny now. So now they call, everybody goes, sits down, and they start reading the people who are on the dais. So I come out, and they said, the Count of Adona, Gianni Russo. And I come out, everybody clap, and everybody's like, Gianni Russo, you can hear it coming from the whole, there's 1,000 people in the audience. So now I'm sitting on the dais, and they did their speeches and all that. Sinatra tries to approach the dais. Well, the Pope travels with his own guards, and they stopped him. They said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I want to go talk to Johnny." So, "Please sit down, sir. This is Sinatra." He looked at me. He said, "What do you mean, please sit down, sir?" "I'm Sinatra." They said, "Sir, please sit down. We'll help you have it removed."
The count will have an audience with you after the exhibit.
No, I didn't. I got off the dais and went to talk to him. But I just, he said, "I'll never forget. I can't believe this was so funny."
I don't know, but man, what a life. Next picture is you and Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah, man.
Okay, this is a side shot, but you can tell it's you, of course. But
but the bottom
where,
line,
how, when? Set the picture up.
the picture, I'll tell you exactly the time it was. It was July 31st, up in Calneva. I went up there to be the eyes and ears for Costello. We knew she was going, and Sinatra tried to convince her to be in bed one more time with Bobby Kennedy.
This is 1962.
Yep.
Okay.
62.
She was killed?
July 60. Yeah, she was killed 5 days later. Hello.
Wow.
So we were there for 2 days already. Saturday night, twilight time. Sinatra pulls it aside and says, "We have your room up in Calneva," which is a resort that had bungalows on the California side and the Nevada side. So you can come into it on the California side, and nobody knew there were certain mobsters up there. With that said, Sinatra said, "We need you to do this favor. It's already 2 years that the mob made him president of the United States." He called off the Bay of Pigs in Cuba because the deal Joe Kennedy made, this is American history we're talking about. Joe Kennedy made a deal with Frank Costello and the mob, get my son president of the United States. The first duty he would do is invade Cuba and give you all your casinos back. That's why they did it. It was always about money. Bobby, they didn't realize when he made him attorney general, everybody got on the phone and said, "Joe, bounce that. You can't have him as attorney general." Nobody realized, even John or his father, realized that Bobby hated what his brother and his father represented with the mob. He went after all their friends. But Bobby didn't know the deal he made. So there was a message sent to Joe in Hyannisport. And yours truly was walking down the driveway when he must have opened the envelope, and you hear him screaming. And he was put in a wheelchair. From that day on, he had a stroke.
This picture then was at Calneva.
It's Calneva on Saturday night, August 4th. No, the last.
Early.
No.
You said July 31st?
July 31st.
Yeah.
Then she left. She started screaming, "I want nothing to do with these Kennedys. I'm going to the press." She called Joe DiMaggio in San Francisco to come and get her. Joe DiMaggio called Sinatra. He said, "What's going on there?" She's screaming. He said, "Mind your own business. Don't come." I often wondered if he came and got her out of there, she'd probably be alive. Because what most people don't know, she wanted to go back with him, and they were going to have a kid. What people don't know, and what we found out that night, she aborted a baby 6 weeks prior that Bobby inflicted her with. And all she ever wanted was a kid. She was going to the press. When I came back and told Costello that, he said they're going to kill her. And they killed her 4 days later.
On that happy note.
Yep.
Next picture is you.
Let me just say, I love that picture, Gianni, because the smile on her face is so genuine.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at you, I love that.
We had 4 years of friendship. And was not what anybody wanted to say. And a couple of people said some stupid things to me. And one guy I smacked, I didn't care about it. I had a friendship with her. It was not a sexual thing.
Yeah.
That's all she was able. She was able to give herself, but
Yeah.
she was a fabulous person.
Well, you can just see that she just seems so happy to see you in that picture. I love that. That's a great picture. Heartwarming.
Thank you for noticing that.
This picture that I just turned to, Al Pacino, you. Who's the woman?
I don't even know. That was the world premiere of The Godfather. I snuck in. We wrote about it. Remember, I was in hiding.
Yeah.
I snuck in. I didn't go to the world premiere. I went to that party. That was at the Regency Hotel, the night of the world premiere of The Godfather. Andy Williams was the first time we ever heard the lyrics of "Speak Softly, Love." Henry Kissinger was there. Everybody was at that party.
She looks a little bit like Cher.
That's what I was just going to say.
No, I know her name. She's an actress at the time. Pacino was dating her. Cahill or something. I forgot her name.
Okay. Pacino looks so young, man.
Oh, we were all 52 years ago. Hello. 52 years ago.
But who's counting? My God, long time. All right. This is the iconic scene from The Godfather. This is the next picture of you, your blushing bride, and Mr. and Mrs. Corleone.
Oh, yeah, that was out at the wedding. I just threw that in there because what we're doing, for people who asked for this show. I remember somebody asked for these things. And
Jeannie.
Oh, Jeannie.
Yeah.
How could I forget? But these are classics, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
How could I not show you my first picture in the motion picture? My bride. That's the best way to get married in a movie.
I was looking to see that picture. That's what I was trying to get a bird's eye view and see who that woman was. But she was with Al Pacino, not you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because you've had a few gals around, so I would have to imagine you may have forgotten one or two.
No, I think, was her name? Could it be Jill Claiborne?
Oh yeah, Jill Clayburgh.
Yep, you're right, because I just looked it up.
Who is it?
Who is it?
Jill Clayburgh.
Yep. Pacino was dating her at the time.
Yep.
Mystery solved. Hey, Jeannie, if you're ever looking for part-time work, give me a
hey, you know it. Jeannie Rockford right here.
All right.
I got the t-shirt.
All right. This picture of the iconic wedding scene, how many takes?
Oh my God, Jesus. We were there a week.
No, I mean for this particular picture.
Oh, who knows? Probably 2 seconds.
Oh, I did. Oh, just one take. Went to snap it. That was it.
That's all they did. They had so many photographers, and they just picked through what they wanted.
Let me ask you, because clearly you're very famous, Talia Shire. Who's the lady next to her?
And that was a lady I got her the job. That was a jazz singer, famous jazz singer called Morgana King. And Morgana King, they needed an Italian lady to be Marlon Brando's counterpart that could speak Sicilian. And Morgana King spoke perfect Sicilian.
That's wonderful. It's funny because I've seen this picture so many times. I'm glad I remembered to ask because I just thought that's somebody I don't know. Did she continue acting?
No, and why she didn't was so funny because in Godfather 2 or 3, she dies in the movie as a character, and she refused to get in the coffin. She created so many. She had a bawoots. I will not get in a coffin. I'm sorry you couldn't pay me enough. She walked off the set. They wiped her out of the business immediately. She never did anything.
Well, they eventually got her in there.
Oh no, she was in there. But I mean, oh no, she.
No, but if I recall the scene, she's in a coffin.
Yeah, but they put a person and made her up.
Wow.
She didn't get in it.
Anyway, yeah, she was primarily a jazz singer. I mean, she was very well known. Went on, stayed with the career.
Great. Oh, that movie did a lot for her career, actually.
I can imagine. Yeah. All
I
right.
think she's passed away. I thought you were making a joke when you said they eventually got her in a coffin.
Yeah, well, eventually we're all going that way. Well, some of us.
Oh, not me. I'm being cremated.
Me too, Gianni. That's right. I'm very claustrophobic. I don't want to be waking up in a coffin.
And I don't want to be underground with worms crawling over me.
No. I'm with you.
Did I tell you what I have in my will?
No.
Oh, I want to be blown up.
By who? What does she look like?
Any, no, not like an inflatable doll blown up. I want to be blown up. I'll just find out somebody who doesn't like me. I'm sure there'll be plenty of volunteers, and just throw a couple of sticks of dynamite and blow me up.
But
What do you,
okay, I won't even go near that. There's a lot.
all
Of,
right. I
a
just
lot of,
don't think
a lot
Are
of
you
resilience.
cremated first?
Pardon me?
Are you going to be cremated first, or you just want the body not
blown
buried,
up? I
not
want
cremated, just blown up?
He just wants to be spread around the neighborhood.
Yeah, they're gonna. There's so much of me. All this love I have to give. One stick of dynamite in each hand. At the count of 3, boom. That's it. I came close a couple of times, but that wasn't my idea. All right.
Yeah, I'll bet. Oh my
Next
God.
picture is you smiling broadly, and Robert De Niro was what passes for a Robert De Niro smile.
Right.
Where was this taken?
That was taken in his office when we were making a picture together that fell apart, unfortunately, with Terrence Winter, which is coming back now. In fact, I talked to Terrence this week. Terrence is interested in our book, so you'd be happy. For our audience that doesn't know who Terrence Winter is, he did Boardwalk Empire and so many other things. And we have 2 major people right now interested in doing our book into a 10-hour miniseries.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Hello.
So, does Robert De Niro actually have teeth? I mean, I've never seen the guy smile.
No, he's
Thin-lipped.
No, he's really a nice guy. He's just so messed up mentally. I mean, guy comes to my house in disguises, and I'm supposed to let him in. So I was just at your house knocking on the door. I said, who?
Who are you?
The guy dressed as a sailor. I said, okay.
You call ahead.
Yeah,
but you look impeccable as always, Gianni.
What's that?
You're always photo ready. You look fabulous in your suits.
I'm just who I am. I don't care.
That's it. Gianni's got it. Okay.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, I would call this an iconic picture. I've seen it on so many Italian restaurants I've been in. You're on the wall, and Marlon Brando is pinching your cheeks.
Oh, yeah.
One's on your face, so people don't get the wrong idea.
No, that became a great picture for the 50th anniversary of Godfather.
Where and when was this taken then?
That was taken in the scene in the movie when Michael says, Carlo, it's going to be our new guy in Vegas. Tom, you're out.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving the room, and Marlon Brando opens the door for me, and he pinched me on the cheek. He says, I'm proud of you, Carlo. Because that goes with his saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And that was the ironic scene of that. It's all over the world, that picture.
This picture it's everywhere. I went to a restaurant here. In fact, I spoke to you guys a couple of years ago, called the Godfather, or Corleone's, I believe it was.
Right.
It had the same font as it was on the cover of the book, and right. For the movie poster. Everything in there was Godfather this, Godfather that. The meals were named after scenes, after people. I believe you were a lasagna dish, if I'm not mistaken. But this picture was on the wall. It was huge. It was like a 1 by 2 feet shot. And I've seen it elsewhere. I've seen it in Vegas. I've seen it.
No, it's been, thank God, I'm as you know, I own the rights to all of that. And there's a lot of places that I've said, cease and desist. They have to take them down unless they're paying me royalties.
Yeah.
You closed down a lot of restaurants.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I turned this place in. First of all, it didn't deserve to be in business, not because they copied everything Godfather. The food sucked. I figured they don't deserve to be, to call themselves an Italian restaurant.
And not only that, Gianni, your favorite is from what I remember. You always talk about your favorite Italian meal being the clam sauce, right? Or one of your favorites.
Pasta
not lasagna.
Yeah, that's me too.
I love it.
White clam sauce. That's how I always tell a good Italian restaurant. If they can make that fresh and good, I'm coming back.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Next, you and Elizabeth Taylor. Her hair is almost hiding you there.
That was given because we spoke about it lightly before. When we did That's What Friends Are For, she created a charity called AmFair for AIDS. And we gave her all the money for that. Everything from That's What Friends Are For, she got. And we don't know what she did with it because we asked people later on and said, we didn't get any of it.
Did that charity die with her, or just because AIDS is under control now? I don't hear anything of Aunt Flora anymore.
I don't hear anything about it at all. We wanted to create an investigation. She died.
Yes,
we don't know where the money went.
I think it went into her hair. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, it's probably piled in.
She had a very, very great taste in jewelry, so maybe a little went there.
A lot of that Rich Burton.
Yeah. Didn't she have a perfume that she called Diamonds?
I think it was White Diamonds.
That's huge. Yeah, it's still there.
Around.
It's still around.
All right, folks. That was Gianni Russo's Life in Pictures. I hope you liked it.
So, Jeannie, you created the show. I love it. That's great.
Well, you know what? Gianni, I'm always fascinated by all your pictures. And when I tell people about the show, and I'll tell them, Gianni he tells us so many different things about his life. And the neat thing about it is you've got pictures to back it up. So if somebody's saying, oh, that's BS, I'm like, no. There's a picture of him and so-and-so or him and so-and-so.
Well, I know. I hear that all the time.
It was her idea. So, you ought to talk to him about creating a montage of his work. So thank you, Jeannie. It worked out well.
No, thank you.
I love it.
Yeah. I didn't know it was you. I appreciate it.
It was her. She's going to be running a show one day, probably in the next
whatever. Please be our help. But we need the help.
Yeah, it's going to be the Jeannie Raymond show.
Oh, no. It's perfect the way it is. I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. I absolutely love it. But I do. I've always enjoyed your pictures, Gianni, and I find them to be so fun. If you have some more of you and Elvis, I wouldn't hate seeing those because I've always been a big Elvis fan.
Wait till you see the show. Whenever you see the show that we did, I was there December as a reward of getting John F. Kennedy, helping him get nominated. Meyer Lansky and Sinatra flew me down for my birthday to the Fontainebleau Hotel when they did the special for NBC where Frank Sinatra was hosting, welcoming Elvis Presley back from the Army. I sat there with these two guys, Sinatra and Elvis, the two biggest stars in the world at that time, 1961, I think it was. And I do it in the show, and there's a duet that they sang together, and then it goes black, and I say to the audience, I know what you're thinking. Is he going to sing an Elvis tune? I am. And I sing Elvis and blow them away.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, I do. I've got
Wise Men Say. That's the song in it.
Oh, I think I pretty much know any Elvis song. In fact, we mentioned it in something and my daughter laughed and said, she had told her my little grandkids, every Saturday morning, Grandma Jeannie would turn Elvis on way up loud and start cleaning and vacuuming. And because they said, who's Elvis? Because they're just little kids. They said, you're going to have to ask your Grandma Jeannie.
All right, please. Well, thank you.
My kids grew up thinking Elvis was still alive because they had to hear him so often.
You haven't heard?
Don't burst my bubble.
He's alive. He's alive.
Yeah.
He's alive.
He's behind the counter at the local Dairy Queen here. I'll tell you what. I'll get you his autograph. How's that?
I'd appreciate it.
Oh, anything for you. All right, folks. That's a wrap, I guess. I mean, we've gone through the pictures.
All right. Well,
Gianni, thank you so much for sharing those.
Oh, no, thank you. Please. I really like talking about all of it, fortunately.
All right, everybody.
Good night. Good night, Jeannie.
Good night, Jeannie. Thank you. Gianni,
see you next week.
Yes.
Please.
And that was that. But I'll be back.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hollywood Godfather podcast. Want to ask us a question for the mailbag? We love hearing from our fans, so submit your questions online at hollywoodgodfatherpodcast.com or you can give us a call at 646-776-3038 and leave a message. Contact us anytime with your questions about past or future shows, your favorite celebrity, or anything you'd like to know, and who knows, your question may even make it on the air. Remember to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at Hollywood Godfather and at Real Gianni Russo. If you like what you hear, please leave us a review with your podcast provider or your video streaming service. We'll be back next week with another exciting show, and who knows who we may have on the show. If you don't want to miss out on an episode, remember to subscribe. Until next time.
My life's like scenes out of a movie. I'm the Hollywood Godfather, truly. I got stories with them all. You know, celebrities, world leaders, icons. Who knows what's next for me? I'll never get too old to have a little fun. Come on, I'm Gianni Russo, a genuine one of a kind. What a ride it's been, this life of mine. And I ain't done yet. I'll be back. Until next time.
And that was that.
When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for small town girls and soft summer nights. We'd hide from the lights on the village green when I was 17. I did it my